Now it's time to actually roll out a slab using the supplies mentioned in the last video. I recommend keeping a water cup handy as well so that you can hydrate your hands if need be, if they're dry. That's important when you're handling that block of clay fresh out of your kit. You can see I've got my surface prepped. I've got that piece of hard wood, and then I've got a thin cotton towel, kitchen towel, wrapped tightly around it. I have one dowel secured already with a piece of tape, and in a minute I'll talk about the spacing of the other dowel. Now, the thickness of that wooden dowel is especially important because it guides the slab into knowing how thin it should be. So we actually refer to those dowels in ceramics as guide rods. That's my other nickname for them. When it comes to spacing between the two dowels, you're going to want about a 7-inch spacing. Your tile will be 6 inches wide, 6 inches long, but you need to give yourself some wiggle room, some additional space for the slab. So use a ruler, or you can use the dowel as a guide as well if you don't have a ruler. Your dowel itself is 6 inches in length. Here I'm using the plastic knife as a marker, so I know that that is 6 inches in width. Again, a ruler is preferred, but if you don't have a ruler and you're working with the small wooden dowels, use a dowel as a guide. Give yourself maybe like 2 fingers, index fingers space to make it 7 inches wide. So that's what we're shooting for here, 7 inches spacing in between the two dowels. And then tape down that other dowel. And you'll see later, the dowels might move around a little bit while I'm making my slab, but they'll move around less because we have them taped at least. And I'm going to use my skinny PVC pipe as a fake rolling pin. You might want to work with other options that I've mentioned already. So I'm rehydrating my hands at this point because now I'm literally about to work with the clay. Now your cube fresh out of your kit is this tall, fat block of clay, and that's going to be very difficult to roll over with a piece of PVC pipe right now. So you want to prep your slab by kind of flattening it, and I recommend doing that by taking your rolling pin tool and kind of giving the clay a beat down, basically. This is great if you have any pent-up aggression, any anger towards something or situation. And then you can also do another technique of using your fist to kind of give the clay a beat down. That helps too. And spend a few seconds doing that. Go back to your rolling pin tool if you want. So whatever works here is, you got 2 options. I do both. I'll pound the clay down with my fist, and then I will also use my rolling pin. And you need to stop to the point where the clay is about 1 inch in thickness. That's what we're shooting for. Flatten the cube down to about a 1-inch thickness. And that makes it much easier to roll at this point. Now, in doing this technique of flattening it out, you're stretching out the clay where it can be wide or it can be tall. Position your clay so that it's wide. So you saw me rotate it just now. And that way we have a lot of clay in between the two dowels. So now it's time to actually roll out my slab. I've got my fabric secure around my board. You may want to tape yours down though. Tape your fabric down if need be. And then when it comes to using your rolling pin, whatever object you're going to use as a rolling pin, you want to start in the middle and apply a lot of pressure with your palms and kind of roll away from your body and then towards your body, and then away from your body, towards your body. What you might notice in doing so is that the rolling pin produces some friction and air bubbles may emerge. You can see I'm pointing to 2 air bubbles. With our normal classroom clay, that would be a problem, and that would cause an explosion in the kiln. But since we're not working with a kiln, we can just roll right over those air bubbles. And you'll hear them pop, too, or you can pop them yourself like a pimple. But anyways, just roll right over them, and it's not a problem. Air bubbles are not a problem with this particular clay. So here I am just trying to elongate the slab, and I'm turning it because I've got this little stubborn area kind of bunching up, and it's easier for me to work with it if it's closer to my body. So feel free to kind of rotate your slab to make it easier on you while rolling out the slab. And so I'm just continuing to produce that long slab. I need it to take up the width of the dowels, even though the dowels might move around a little bit. That can be annoying. Just reposition them if you need to. And then just go back into rolling out your slab, applying enough pressure, and just moving back and forth. So we want the slab to take up the width of the dowels and be a little bit on the long side too. So that's what I'm working on right now. You'll know when to stop later in the next video. I'll talk about that.